Hello, everyone, and welcome. We're starting a series about the power of generative AI. We'd like to offer our perspectives on the path forward. My name is Charles Landry. We've all read about the recent advances in generative AI, and they have captivated all of us. They've opened our imagination and really blown open a number of possibilities, sparking a wave of excitement across organizations, across industries, and across many governments within the public sector. Governments at the local, state, and federal level have seen the potential of generative AI, and seen the potential to fundamentally improve the constituent experience and improve their operational effectiveness. In this discussion, we're going to talk about the transformative aspect of generative AI in the public sector, how it can be applied, what the challenges and benefits are, and share some practical advice for getting it started. We invite you to join us as we explore the disruptive power of generative AI and the opportunities that it presents for the public sector. With me today are two people, Sindhu Adini from SpringML and Peter Fisher from Google Cloud. I'd like to ask you to introduce yourselves. Sindhu, go ahead.
I'm Sindhu Adini, and I lead the solution engineering and innovation team. Peter, off to you.
Hi, nice to meet everyone. Thank you for coming. Thanks for Spring for inviting me. My name is Peter Fisher. I'm a partner engineer. I'm a Gen AI specialist here at Google, supporting the public sector team. And I've had the privilege to work with SpringML for the last 4 years over many different engagements. Back to you, Charles.
Thank you, Peter. It's good to see you again. I'd like to ask you each some questions. And Sindhu, I'll start with you. Can you explain what your role is and kind of what you do on a day-to-day basis?
Sure. So overall, my role is centered around problem solving, client-centric solutioning, and collaborating with cross-functional teams with the clients and with SpringML and Google to deliver transformative outcomes for a client. As you both know, and as most of our audience knows, we are passionate about leveraging technology and driving positive change. And I think our reputation speaks for itself that we are also passionate about ensuring our clients' success in this dynamic landscape of data, AI, ML, and analytics. Along with the team of solution engineers, we collaborate with our clients to deeply understand their need and develop tailored solutions that deliver tangible outcomes. So a significant portion of the role involves, diving into client engagements, actively listening to their pain points, actively listening to what are the business objectives and outcomes they're looking for, and translating this into innovative and technical solutions. Because more often than not, we have technology and we have a client outcome and we are trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. So our team does in-depth assessment of existing systems, identifies, these outcomes, areas of improvements, and we essentially work with our partners like Google to come up with the right approach to address these specific challenges or to meet their outcomes. On a daily basis, we engage in, solutioning sessions, like I said, and we include our product and technology partners. We include our data science teams, we include our sales teams, and we invite our clients to co-create a comprehensive strategy. Together, we architect end-to-end solutions that not only solve our clients' immediate problems, but also are constantly thinking about how does this align with their long-term business goals. As you can tell, client centricity is core of our activities, right? Not just the team, but SpringML and Google as a whole. We actively cultivate strong relationships with our client and are structured to become their trusted advisor. We closely collaborate with them through the entire life cycle, and we provide guidance and support to ensure that we've not only developed a successful solution, but we are successfully managing it and they're successfully able to run it for longer terms. In addition to all of this, we also try to stay ahead of industry trends. We attend conferences and we maintain close ties with our partners, especially with Google. This enables us to stay in the forefront of emerging technology like generative AI and also relevant domains. So by understanding these latest developments and possibilities, we help our clients unlock the full potential of data to drive innovation, efficiency, and competitive advantage in the domain and landscape they're in.
All right, Peter, how about you?
Well, my day-to-day is kind of split between two groups. I spend a lot of my time working with partners, helping them understand Google's technology, but also helping them with engagements that they're working on. And ultimately, we want to both the partner and the clients to be successful in whatever project or deployment they're trying to do. The other half is I do get to talk at conferences and talk to customers directly about technologies like generative AI or Gen AI. And so it's a really great role for me because I get to see not just how things are developed, but how they can be applied at the customer level. So
Excellent. Thank you very much. As I talk to our clients and as we go through the organizations that we're working with, we get asked a lot of questions about generative AI and its current status. So I'd ask each of you, kind of, what is Gen AI and where do we currently stand? Peter, let's start with you.
So generative AI for me, as a longtime AI practitioner, one of the things that it resonated with me, or I understood that it was a game-changing technology, was these large language models are so capable that they're able to answer questions that they were never trained for. And in the traditional AI world, I used to have to really toil and work very hard to develop a model that had a very short useful life and then also had a very narrow use case. So I'd have to label data, I'd have to train the model. All of those steps are dramatically shortened with generative AI. So I look at it, or I explain it as it can really jumpstart any AI initiative. And not only can it jumpstart it, its application is much wider than you can even imagine. So I think we can start to say, yes, there's been a lot of hype. There's a lot of interest coming from customers and partners. But one thing that stood out to me is it definitely is one of those internet moments that we are having, kind of a revolution in the way things are done. And that is because they are so capable at answering questions, which again, they were never trained to answer.
Yeah, and I mean,
Oh, Sindhu, go ahead, please.
yeah, and to add to what Peter said, right? Like, yes, there's always kind of going to be hype. And if you had asked me this question like 2 weeks ago, I may have had a different answer. But all emerging technologies undergo cycles of that inflated expectations, the disillusionment, and then maturation, right? We've seen this even with like blockchain, virtual reality, or even AI, right? When they went through periods of hype and disillusionment, but as subsequent advances were made and there was ongoing development, there's always renewed excitement and reignited interest, which leads into maturity of use cases and the problems they are solving, and a plateau of here is the outcome I can receive from this technology. So generative AI to me is like truly fascinating, and I'm careful in using the word, but I'm going to use it here, and transformative, right? It has received significant attention in the recent years. Right now, we all know it falls in the peak of the inflated expectations, like it's climbing up the hype on the Gartner hype cycle, reflecting the heightened excitement and heightened expectations around its potential. And the hype is fueled by, some of the remarkable capabilities that it produces, just like how Peter mentioned, right? To generate realistic content, to really push boundaries of what machines can create and the machine learning, underneath it. That is why, a lot of this hype is fueled. It's also captured imagination of so many researchers across all domains and technologists and even the public. The media attention and buzz have also contributed to the perception that generative AI holds immense promise for revolutionizing not just technology fields, but fields like an art, design, and entertainment and more. And it's very rare, or it's very infrequent that you see technology simultaneously revolutionizing so many domains, right? But let's acknowledge that hype cycle also entails a trough of disillusionment, where the initial inflated expectations meet reality, leading to some kind of skepticism. As with any emerging technology, generative AI also faces these challenges and limitations that we all need to address as a community. Ethical concerns, bias in generated content, need for robust validation and control are some really key areas that we have to make sure we are continuously researching, we are making advancement and development in, so that it doesn't just become a hype and we are leveraging it for the transformational capabilities we believe it will provide. So nonetheless, while generative AI is in the peak of the inflated expectations, it's far from being a passing cloud or a passing trend. It represents a significant advancement and is positioned to have a lasting impact. And in fact, we are seeing that right now. So the reason why I said that, my answer would have been different a few weeks ago is because people were still experimenting and kind of trying to discover what to do with it. And now we are already seeing them, get into the mode of, hey, I've already built this. I'm going to further augment it or further accelerate what I've built leveraging Gen AI. So the capabilities and possibilities of using these large language models are too compelling to ignore. And it's already started demonstrating in value in practical applications as we are seeing in different domains. So the maturation of generative AI in the hype cycle, like I said, will involve in addressing all these issues, like the ethical and practical considerations, but in parallel while demonstrating its value through real world applications. So as the field matures, we expect Gen AI to navigate very quickly through the trough of disillusionment and progress towards productivity on the hype cycle. And we are seeing the audience move in that direction very rapidly.
Okay, thank you. So if we believe it's here to stay and clients are rapidly moving through that initial cycle and their initial experiments, how are we coaching them to be responsible within their organizations in terms of its application, in terms of their explorations? Sindhu, let's start with you.
Absolutely. When it comes to being responsible with generative AI, there are a couple of factors we need to consider, like key factors. And there are many more you will see evolve as we kind of, uh, find more uses for it. First and foremost, we must prioritize fairness and equity in development and deployment, as well as in the usage of AI models. It's crucial to actively identify and mitigate bias that may exist in training this data and algorithm, as we've seen with AI. And we have to ensure that the generated content is free from any unfair discrimination or reinforcing any kind of harmful stereotypes. Another important aspect is the need for responsible AI practices. What that means is it means transparency and explainability in AI systems to build trust and accountability. We must be able to understand and enable the decision making process of the AI model, especially when we are leveraging this for use cases that have significant impact to individuals and society. And we also need to foster a culture of responsible AI usage. So, developing with responsible practices in mind is one, but fostering a culture of responsible AI usage is also a key factor. What that includes is considering potential ethical implications and societal implications of the generated content. This means we have to address challenges that arise from generative AI, like privacy concerns, data ownership, and potential misuse of the technology itself. But lastly, education and awareness is also essential. We must invest in educating developers, users, and all stakeholders about the challenges and best practices. By raising awareness about fairness, equity, responsible AI, and also hallucination, we can collectively work towards, developing and utilizing generative AI in a responsible manner, because that is going to be key in ensuring that it's not just in the plateau of hype, that we start actually getting more practical use cases out of generative AI.
All right, Sindhu, thank you. Peter, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think the biggest barrier to a lot of public sector customers in agencies is that the lack of trust and understanding of how large language models work. And I think you can see in the public, you've seen some very large organizations and even states kind of put a pause on this technology or outright ban it. So one of the things that I spend a lot of my time working with customers and partners is understanding not only our responsible AI principles, which we publish on our website,
Mhm.
we also talk about how our architecture that we deploy this technology is thoughtful, and that we want to keep your data private. We don't use your data to train our models. That is clearly articulated in our there's some links on our data processing guidelines on how we use that. There's other things that I would point to is there are safety in depth concepts. So we have safety layers built into the foundational models. We have safety that you can implement through prompt engineering. So you can provide context, and then you can also provide few shot examples to help govern the way the model then responds. So all of these together in combination will help you deploy an application using large language models that meet your audience's expectations. So, we want to not have a toxic or a model that hallucinates, and we can't prevent all of that all the time, but we can certainly mitigate that. So one of the things that I point out is all of the prior ways that we would mitigate data biased and AI biased in our models we would run multiple models and aggregate them into an ensemble model. With
Mhm.
large language models, that doesn't exist anymore. So one of the things that we showcase and through workshops like Sindhu was just mentioning, we teach people how they can compare an answer to ground truth, so that they can then see against the baseline how a model is before and after it's been trained or tuned through some models. So there's some new tools and techniques. There's a new framework, responsible AI, and then there's also just making people aware of all of the safety guidelines and guardrails that you can put around large language models.
Excellent. Now I'm going to ask the next question, knowing well in advance that if I ask you a month from now, the answer is going to be different. But can both of you talk about a few client use cases and what's being done today? And Peter, let's start with you.
So the use cases are tremendous. I think a lot of people come to these meetings and they instantly have some really interesting use cases to apply this technology. So without going and boring you through thousands of examples, and there are that many, I'll categorize them, and I see four types. Is one, the creative side of the house, to author content, to write an email, to generate some content, an image. Those are very common use cases. In public sector, I start to see the second category being much more popular, summarization. So summarizing an RFP or a response. Summarization can also be used to, in this case, also suppress, which is an interesting use case. So summarization technologies can be used to lower alert fatigue and suppress, so to speak, the high noise that a lot of our practitioners run into, and allow the practitioner to focus in on the more important signals. So taking, a dashboard with thousands of alerts and really then narrowing that down or reducing the noise so that they can see what is most important. So creative, summarization. The third is discovery. Data is probably not the problem with public sector. Public sector has islands and millions of rows of data all over the place. And discovering some of those assets, which are very valuable, has been a challenge. So this technology can make it easy not only to expose those data sets and that knowledge that they have, but it also makes it easier for constituents to basically consolidate all of that information into a single place where people can find it. And the last but not least is automation. So this can definitely do two things. It can give you a significant amount of time back because it can automate some of the redundant tasks or repetitive tasks that you currently are faced with. And I point that to a lot of the projects I'm working on. The projects typically would take 6 months. Now they can be done in a week because we're starting from such an advanced place with some of these large language models. So those are the four that I see. I don't know if Sindhu agrees, but create, summarize, discover, and automate are the four major use cases that I see.
Peter, thanks very much. Sindhu, what use cases are you currently seeing?
Yeah, I think Peter nailed the entire breadth of all the use cases, right? And one of the biggest advantages of large language models is their ability to generate coherent and contextual information. And it's so relevant, especially in tasks for our clients, like support agent assistance or policy data analysis. The fact that they can process and understand large amount of text and data, and also allows them to capture the specific nuances and complexities that takes the human eye months and sometimes years, and support conversation and find fraudulent patterns. That's where we see some more narrow use cases coming our way. For example, support agent assistance, right? Generative AI can play a crucial role in assisting support agents or customer service representatives to further help their constituents. By leveraging generative AI, the support agents can not only benefit from automated responses, which we have seen, but can also understand, hey, here is the history of the request this constituent has opened, right? Let me actually get a summary of the request he or she has opened, and let me actually get that contextual information and providing that response. So it allows them to serve the constituents better. And furthermore, with most state agencies, constituents, especially someone like me, is going to call and ask about, hey, how do I apply for, say, a DMV license, or how do I apply for a fishing license, right? To expect our customer service agents to have every piece of information at their fingertips is unreal. So another capability of generative AI is to be able to go and look at all the knowledge bases that are across and provide a context of, hey, here is relevant information, here is a summary of the relevant information, here are the links to the relevant information, just so the agent can actually provide a response to the constituent. So we are ensuring that generative AI is allowing and providing features that allow customer support agents to do higher valued work, right? We want to augment and enhance the capability that they provide, and we want them to spend more time in doing higher valued work than searching and parsing through sites and pages with all this knowledge base. The second use case that we are seeing is analysis of policy related data. Now, this is a complex task for any state and local government. Generative AI can facilitate this by extracting valuable insights from large and diverse data sets. By applying these techniques, such as NLP and text summarization, policy documents can easily be and automatically be analyzed and summarized. What this does is this really enables policymakers to quickly grasp the essential details, identify key themes, and make informed decisions based on comprehensive information. So, on the flip side of it, you can also use generative AI to perform sentiment analysis on large scale, right? By helping policymakers understand public opinion for specific policies or issues. So, for example, uh, a lot of the constituents are encouraged to give feedback about policy, and they also express their sentiment on social media, on public forums, and other crowdsourced data. Generative AI models can be leveraged to detect and analyze sentiments expressed by individuals. And this information is very key for policymakers to have a pulse on public sentiment and allowing them to gauge public perception and adjust policies accordingly. So, from a policy perspective, you can see how it can summarize it, but also allow government agencies to have a pulse of, what the public perception is. But but the third use case that we are seeing a lot of is fraud detection and prevention. As you guys know, we've already developed a lot of fraud solutions for some of our key states. But generative AI can be a game changer in enhancing and augmenting those solutions. By leveraging these advanced analytics and large language models, generative AI models can actually analyze financial records, transactional records, along with benefit applications that we've done in the past, and identify patterns, anomalies, and also suspicious activities that may indicate potential fraud. early detection of fraudulent behavior has always been on top of mind for agencies because they want to take proactive measures to prevent financial losses,
Sure.
protect public funds, and ensure integrity in government programs and services like what we are seeing with the Cures Act. So generative AI can enhance the fraudulent detection capabilities by continuously learning from new data, evolving fraudulent patterns, and also enabling our state and local governments to stay one step ahead of the fraudsters.
Well, thank you. I mean, the use cases here already are tremendous and fairly rich. It will be very interesting to see these evolve, right, at the local level, at the state, and at the federal level. I'd ask you guys one final question, and Peter, I'll start with you. How would we advise a client to get started?
So one of the things that I've noticed with this this technology is there's a light bulb moment that goes on. And one of those moments typically occurs when you apply the technology with your own data. I think seeing a presentation or using the technology, in kind of just playing around with it, that does help kind of educate and make you more familiar with the capabilities.
Mhm.
But I really would suggest that they get down, the customers, clients, agencies, really look at what use cases they can apply this to. So identify a hard and an easy use case, and actually do a POC or an MVP with somebody like a partner like SpringML who can guide you along that journey. Even if the project is a failure, it's probably more valuable to go through that process and to see how you could then apply it to your specific use cases. So I think it's great. I love to show the demos, but I really do think the aha moment typically comes when they apply it in their environment with their data, and they learn so much more through that experience, whether it's a success or failure.
Well, the one thing that SpringML has taught us over the span of our existence is that the detail is certainly in the data. Sindhu, how about you? What are your recommendations for how we get clients started on this path?
Yeah, I think Peter nailed it. And as a part of that, SpringML is offering a workshop that is specifically designed to help our clients understand the feasibility of use cases for leveraging generative AI and setting them up for success. At the core of this workshop, as we've discussed through this entire chat, is understanding the data, understanding client outcomes, and feasibility, because all of these are critical factors in really achieving transformative results and cutting through some of the noise that the hype is currently creating. So we will work closely with our clients. We'll explore the data landscape. We'll identify, potential of, hey, can generative AI actually generate these valuable insights? Can it really give you the innovative solutions you believe it can? And by aligning the technology with the specific business outcome, we want to make sure that the application of generative AI is purposeful and it directly contributes to our client's success. Additionally, as a part of the workshop, we'll conduct a thorough feasibility assessment, right? Taking into account qualities such as data availability, data
Mhm.
quality, model complexity, computational resources, and even ethical considerations. So, this assessment is really to guide us and our clients to identify those use cases that Peter was talking about, is where can these generative AI use cases really add value and avoid the potential challenges you may face if you just launch into I'm going to develop this use case for generative AI. So this workshop is a very collaborative experience, and we've had a few successful ones, and it's really so enlightening to see what we've uncovered. And more importantly, it is very heartwarming to see clients get that aha moment of, oh, here is the use case that I wasn't able to uncover. Let's actually get started on this journey. Let's get a POC up and running. So just to add to what Peter was saying, yes, experimentation and POC and actually identifying the use case is key. And Spring ML and Google, we have this workshop that we'll, allow you, we'll walk you, we'll be by your side, and, we would love to learn with you on what you can uncover and how generative AI can help, our clients.
Wonderful. I think that's a great tactical next step, right? It's very easy to get overwhelmed by everything you read, everything you see, and it's very helpful. Our clients tell me it's very helpful to boil it down into a couple of simple frameworks and a couple of tangible next steps. That will help get them on the path. Well, thank you both. And thank you, Peter. Thank you, Sindhu. It's great to speak with you again. But most importantly, thank our audience. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And certainly watch for the invitation to the next of our Generative AI series. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you. Bye-bye.